Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the class. I hope you people are safe and good at your home. Please have vigilance towards your health. Take care about your health and drink hot water and think positively. Cultivate a cheerfulness among you and work hard. Most of you are having a reference book with you, people. If you don't have a reference book, buy a reference book. From the 28th of this month, December 28th, we are going to start our classes. So before coming into the classes, make sure that you have completed all the exercise questions and you are following, means you are regularly writing the rough notebook. If it is not, then you will be under the problem. So that reason, complete all the work, then you can get into the class. That means if you don't not completed, it doesn't mean that you should not come back. You should come on the exact date which is given by the school. You should come on the day, but before coming on that date, you should complete all the works that's required. So you will be having some confidence with you if you complete all the work, because you have been in your home for this all the long months, 10 months you have taken, is it not? And I hope you got your own timetable. So suppose you prepared your own timetable, or if you are following with your own timetable, it's very good and it's appreciable. And if you go along with your timetable, the every work will done in the peace. Will not be having any problem. It will go in a very ease. Then if you are not create a timetable yet, prepare your timetable. Should not allow anybody to force you that to do such a work and go for there. Is not. It's your life. You are more than enough to think and take a decision on your life, is it not? So you have to decide. So how to prepare the timetable, and you have to decide to not to take guidance from the anybody, like not to get any suggestion from the anybody to read, is it not? You have to prepare your own way. Because from the one step first standard you are been learning and you are being trained by the teachers to how to read, and you have been trained by the school system that what which time, in what time what to do and how to do all those things. You have been trained. So if you don't prepare your own timetable, or if you don't carry out your own life alone, then it will be a problem for you people. You should not depend on your parents either for money or many other things. The most of you people are wasting your time, and most of your people are not serious about your life, means your study, because you are all getting the things whatever you need. You are all getting the things from your parents. They are offering you many things. So that reason you are not getting the intensity of a problem, and the hardness and the misery of life is not known for you people, is not. If you don't work hard, if you don't do the hard work now, it will be a problem for you people, and you have to decide your future. If you work hard now, if you make use of a time now, then in the future you can lead your life, you can create a life for others. Then you will become a God in their eyes, is not. The person who doesn't know the value of his life will waste, he will ready to waste 1 hour, is not. The person who don't know the value of his life will ready to waste 1 hour or 30 minutes or any minutes. They will ready. If they are wasting their time in doing something else, in simply sitting and talking about unnecessary things and bullshit, talking about others and doing other things like robbery and thinking about others badly, if they are doing such a kind of things, that means they are wasting a time. They are going in the wrong path. Is not. If you do such a kind of thing, that you are the wrong person in the wrong place, is not. Because you all got rights, you are all having the opportunity to read, write and acquire knowledge. You all having a way to create your own life, but you are not trying. That is a very miserable thing, is not. There are many people in the outside of the world. Most of them, they are eager to learn, but they are not having any resources. They are not having any opportunity. Either they don't have money and the teachers, and they are not having any facilities, is not. For that, the people, they need to create their own life. They need to create their better future, because their background is not good. But for you people, most of you are having a good background. but you are not creative, you are not ready to create a future, is not, because you'll be having some notion, you'll be having some idea that I can continue with the money of my father, I will be very enjoy, I can become a businessman, is not, it's a wrong thing, and it will be waste of your life as a human being if you do think, if you think like that, is not. You can create a if you want to become a businessman, it's not a bad thing, but if you say that you can enjoy the money, means you can enjoy the life with your money of your father, that will be very bad. You can become a businessman with your money, you should become your businessman with your own effort, not by the influence of any other people, is it not? So here, after this, let's come back to our discussion. In the last class, we completed our portion, it's got completed, is it not? We completed our portion of a geography and the history. In the geography, we completed 4 chapters. In the history, we completed the 3 chapters, is it not? So 3 chapters, actually from both geography and history, you will get only 6 chapters for your board examination, but we did one extra in history, because that chapter which I taught extra, that should be involved in your preparatory examinations. That means you will get a questions and that chapter, the making of global world. We discussed 3rd chapter in the geography, it's about the making of global world. That chapter will be included, means the questions on that chapter will get in the preparatory examination, only in the preparatory examination, not in the board examinations. So this, all the 4 chapters and the 2 chapters from the history, you will get in your board examinations. From now, we'll have a revision. So along with these revisions, we'll discuss about map work. Okay, so map work is very necessary. You will get a 6 marks, and if you thorough with all the map, means only 3 chapters, you will get a map work one from the only 3-4 chapters. That's it in this year. You will get only map from only 3-4 chapters. So that if you prepare, approximately it will be having somewhat 10 map and 10 to 12 map. If you prepare all these 10 to 12 maps, we can prepare that within a 1 day. We can prepare that within a 1 day. If you prepare for that, you will have 6 marks in your hand. So while having a revision, we'll have a map work. We'll do the map work according to that chapters. We'll do a map work. Okay, we'll start our revision from this classes. From today, we will have a revision. So the first chapter what we discuss, and we'll have a look back into the things what we discussed in the first classes, is not. The first chapter we have discussed about the resource and development. The resources and development, it is the name of first chapter in the geography. So what do you mean by resource? So here, we did discuss about the meaning or the definition of resource in the 6th class. From the 6th class we know, and in the 8th class particularly we had the chapter called as resource, is not the name or the heading is called as resource, and there we discussed about the definition of resources, and it was somewhat different. And as I told in the beginning of our classes initially, then we have a different definition for the resources, and according to the level of a 10th class, that's what the definition of resource is that the everything available in our environment which can be used for the satisfy of our needs. It's provided with the technology accessible and economically feasible and culturally acceptable, then only it's called as a resources, is not. The resources, it's available in our environment, in our surrounding, it's called as it's a thing. The everything which is available in our surrounding, it's called as a resources. It's a basic one, it's a basic definition for the term resources. So if you want to add much more things to make sense about the term resource, so you need to provide some more concept, you need to provide some more meaning about that. If it is technologically accessible, means if you make use of that resources with the help of a technology, and if it is economically feasible, suppose if that that material which can be purchased by making use of money, Otherwise, if it is usable for the economy or the economic life or the economic activity and culturally acceptable, if that resource or if that things is accepted by the everybody in the culturally, then it's called as a resources. That's what its main definitions. Definitely you will get a question on this, the resource definition of resources. But the answer will be same, but question will appear in the different way, in the different form, in like in a different sentence. The question will be in the different. So that reason I have told that to refer different types of references, and you will have a internet facility in your mobile. So if you search for the different questions in the different patterns what they got in the exams, means the question papers in the last year question papers, you will get the idea about how can they ask questions on this same topic, is not. The questions, understanding about the question is plays an important role. If you understand the question, you can give an answer for those other things. So try to get all those questions, different type of questions in the many sources. You have many sources now. You have educated people in your house and you have many sources. Just you need to do the hard work, because it's your future. If you don't strive to get a good future, then it's nothing use. So we'll discuss further. That's about the resources can be classified in the following ways. These all the resources are being classified. For if you goes on making list of resources which is available in our surrounding, and you don't get a space to mention all those things, is not, like many things, from even from the small things to the very bigger, it's all resources. If you are making use of that, or the any resources, suppose it's satisfying the need of a human being or any other thing, so it will be called as a resources. So everything on the earth's surface, it's resources. So after making use of that, we are throwing back, and it will be like a wastage. That the waste, except that we can call everything as a resources. But the waste which is came after the use of us, means after the resources, it has become a waste. That's is not. But it's every whole earth is considered as the resources. So whatever the things are existed on the earth's surface, it's all been categorized, fragmented, classified under many basis. So that's what we will be discussing. Based on the origin, we have a two, that is about biotic and abiotic, based on the origin. And based on exhaustibility, we have renewable and non-renewable. And based on the ownership, individual, community, national and international. And based on the status of development, potential, developed, stock and the resource. So suppose you have been in the classes, I would have asked you questions about this, all the things, then you will be going on a right way. But this is, since online classes, we cannot have an interaction with you people. It's a miserable thing. The revision cannot be done in such a way. So once if you come to the school in this month 28, then we will have some discussion and we will have a revision. It's not. It's some good way to have a revision, is it not? But for the time being, we will have this kind of revisions. I hope it helps you. So that we are discussing about the classification of resources. That's on the basis of origin. We have biotic and abiotic. I cannot ask you people, this is not, because you cannot give a response in this way. So that's the reason I will be reading as like literally. I will be discussing. So based on the origin, we have biotic, abiotic. This is what we will discuss somewhat briefly about this all the things. So based on the origin, we have biotic. What do you mean by biotic? Bio is nothing but life, the thing which has a life. Biotic resource, we discuss about the resource. The biotic resource is that the resource which has life in it, the thing which has a life in it. They are obtained from biosphere and have a life, such as human being, flora and fauna and the livestock. So the things which has life in it, it's called as a biotic, which is originated. The biotic things are being originated without the help of human being, and some are originated or which is got existed on the earth's surface with the help of a human being. So all the things are considered as the biotic resources. The abiotic resources is like the thing which is not having life in it, like all those things which is composed of non-living things are called abiotic resources. For example, rock, metals and many things. You can make list of for this abiotic resource as an example. There are many things. In among the abiotic resources, there are two divisions we can make, that which is natural and human made, like natural, like a mountain, river, rock, and the soil, many things, or non-living things called as abiotic resources. And the abiotic resources which is man-made, such like many things we can see on your is not on the surface, like a road, buildings, table, pen, mobile, many other things, for example. So these all the things which is comes under the abiotic resources. Even it's also called as natural and human being, means human made. Then the based on exhaustibility, the renewable resources are those resources. Suppose if you make use of the resources, you can get that resources again and again. Suppose if you make any if you make use of resources, any kind of resources, it will get over now. Is not? Suppose if you make use of water, if you drink water, 1 liter of water, it will get over. Is it not? Your body will consume that 1 liter of water, then you can get that water again and again through the water cycle. So that is process, continuous process. Under the continuous process, we will be getting that water. So it's called as a renewable resource. Renewable resources, as we discussed in the first class. In this renewable word, it has the three meaning in that. Means it is hidden with the 3 words, like renewable resources, the things which can able to make renew again, the things which is able to make new again, means is called as renewable resources. So that's about the process which can be renewed or reproduced by the physical, chemical, or the mechanical process are known as renewable or replenishable resources. For example, solar and the wind energy, water, forest, and wildlife, you already know about that. So then non-renewable resources are those, it's some opposite of that. So in the renewable resources, if you make use of the resources once, it will get over. If you make use of the resources once, you will get again and again. But in the non-renewable resources, if you make use of the resources now, it will get over, then you need to wait for a more geological time to get it again. It's a non-renewable resources. Like this occurs over a very long geological time. Minerals and fossil fuels are example for such resources. If you make use of petrol now, the petrol, diesel, and natural gases, if you make use of that now, you need to wait for a long period, thousands of years. You need to wait for that to get again in the same period or anywhere. If you want to get that again, you need to wait for the thousands of years. So that's what you will not get that resources again, and you cannot make that replenish in a shorter period of time. That's called as a non-renewable resources. Same like the word, the things which cannot, non is nothing but not. The things which cannot able to make new again is called as non-renewable resources. These resources takes millions of years in their formation. Some of these resources like metal are recyclable, and some like fossil fuels cannot be recyclable and get exhausted within their uses. Then another basis based on the ownership. So based on the ownership, we have some more divisions in some more classifications, fragmentations in these resources. Like individual resources, this individual, the individual resources, the resources which is owned by the individual, like a private property. The agriculture land will be owned by the farmer. Then house, our particular home, will be owned by the particular person. It will be in the name of particular person. Like this institution, the Saniketan institution, it's owned by the Wali sir, it's not. So this is a private property of him. So same like the individual resources are those resources which is owned by the individual, the private land, it's called as a private land. And the many farmers own land which is allotted to them by government against the payment of a revenue. The plantation, pasture land, ponds, water and well, etc. are some of those example of resources owned by the individuals. Ownership by the individuals. So example, the agriculture land and the building, like the home and house, and some plot of land will be owned by the individuals, and the institutions will be owned by the individuals. These are the individual resources. Then in the community owned resources, this word itself that says it's owned by the community. Community is a group of people, of a similar people. It means that community that will be having a similar people in their world. So the resources which is owned by the community, like there are resources which is accessible to all the members of a community. Like we can suppose, so for example, we have the park, and we have a library, the public library, and we have a playground. So there the community people of who are the people who are staying near of that public ground, playground, otherwise a park, they can make use of that, they can take a use of that, those things. It's called as a community owned resources. The villages commons, grazing land, and the burial ground, village ponds, public parks, and the picnic spots, playgrounds in urban areas are be fact accessible to all these people living there. So it's a community owned resources. Then the national resources, here the both public are called as both individual resources and the community resources. This comes under the national resources. So this technologically all the resources belong to the nation. Whatever you call as a public, the community resources and the individual resources, all these resources comes under the national resources. The country has legal power to acquire even private property for the public good. And the road, canal, railway being constructed on field owned by some individuals, all the minerals, water resources, forests, wildlife, land within the political boundaries and the ocean areas up to 12 nautical miles, that means 22.2 kilometers from the coast, termed as territorial water and the resources terrain in belong to the nation. Here these individual resources and the community resources, technologically it's belong to the national resources. Here suppose a nation that puts some schemes and the programs to have a development in the transportation. So they want to construct a road, railway, and many other things. For the construction of a road and railway, they will have a plan. According to the plan by the government, suppose the railway that passes through the agricultural land and the community owned land, the agricultural land is belong to the individual property, it's not as a private property. So if the plan, according to the plan, that the railway track that passes through that community and individual resources, while constructing they need to leave their the land, they need to accept for their acquiring the land. The government, they have a right to acquire the land whether it is belong to the individual or community, because it's a national resources. And also the area behind from the coastal area from towards the 22 kilometers, it's all belong to the country, means the what you call the shelf, ocean shelf up to the 22 kilometers from the coastal area, that's belong to the particular country. So then international resources like the oceanic resources behind the 200 nautical miles of exclusive economic zone belong to the open oceans, and no individual country can utilize this without the concurrence of international institutions. Here all the oceans are considered as international resources. All the 5 oceans are considered as international oceans. International resources. All the 5 oceans are considered as international resources. Then from the coastal area, from the coastal line, from any continent towards the 200 kilometers up to there, it's belong to the particular nation. That's belong to the particular nation. So behind the 200 kilometers from the coastal area of any continent, it's all considered as international resources, means it's all the oceans. It's not belong to the any one country. If they want to make use of that international resources for having some observations or for having some research, or if they want to make use of that coral relief which is there in the bottom of ocean, they need to take a permission from the organization. They need to take a permission from the the head of that institution, support head of the countries. So all the countries will have some group, is not unions. So there they need to take a permission. That's what the international resources. Then on the basis of status of development, here the potential resources, the word potential that says that it has a potentiality, power, the potentiality. That means the pen can survive for the 2 more months. It has a potentiality. Now it's surviving. I'm making use of this. So for the 2 more months, you can give a same service for me. That says it has a potentiality. Such like we have our resources based on the potentiality, like resources which are found in the region but have not been utilized. For example, the western part of India, particularly the Rajasthan and the Gujarat have enormous potential for the development of wind and solar energy. But so for these have not been developed properly. Means there we have a resources. It has a potentiality. We can make use of that resources, but we don't have a technology. We are not using that now. We don't have a technology, but we are not making use of that. It's called as potential resources, but it has a potentiality. It can give resources, means it can give a energy, and it can produce energy for us to making use of for any economic activity. It is a potential resources. Developed resources are those which are being identified and quantity and quality are measured, and which are now presently making use, means it's under the use now. It's called as developed resource. It's already been developed and we are making use of that. Resources which are survived and their quality and quantity have been determined by utilization. The development of resources depends on technology and level of their feasibility. Then the stock, the materials in the environment which have the potential to satisfy the human needs, but human beings do not have the appropriate technology to access this, are including among for example, the water is a compound of two immovable gases, hydrogen and the oxygen, which can be used for the rich source of energy, but we do not have the required technology. In the stock, we are having the stock of resources. In the air we can get, in the water we can get some energy, is not it? It will be having two hydrogen molecules in the water, is not it? Has one means in the air we have one oxygen molecule and the two hydrogen molecules, so we can make use of that hydrogen molecules for the preparation or creation or generation of electricity, is not, but we don't have a technology. Like uranium, we found a uranium in some particular places of Jammu and Kashmir, but we don't have a technology to make use of that uranium. So that's about the stock. And the reserve, it's are the subset of a stock which can be put into the with the help of exhausting technology, known how, but the use is not been started. Reservation, like we have a resource, some of that we are making resource use up for that we are using, and we can get a more uses from the same resource, but we are not making use. We have technology to use that, but we are not making use of the resources. We are not extracting use of that resources, because we are preserving that for the future. It's a resources. This can be used for meeting future requirements. River water can be used for the generating hydroelectric power, but presently it is being utilized only for the limited extent. Thus, the water in the dam, forest, etc. is reserve which can be used in the future. So it's a reserve which is, we know the technology, we have the resource, it's in the stock, we have availability of resource, we know technology, we know how to use, but you are not making use because we are keeping for the future. It's a resource. In the stock, we have resource, we don't know the technology how to make use of that resource. We don't know how to make use of resource even, and we don't have technology to make use of resource. It's a stock. In the development, we are making use. In the potential, we know the technology, means we have the resources and we know how to use, but we are not made effort to make use of that. We can use, but we are not made, we are not invested to make use of the resource. It's a potential resource. That's what we discussed about the first concept in this chapter. I hope you people understood, and make use of this time, prepare for yourself, prepare for the annual examination, that means board examinations. Thank you. Have a nice day.